Welcome, travelers, to my realm of nightmares. Allow me to be your personal assistant. Come in, take a seat, get comfortable. For when you step into my realm, there's no stepping out.
Hello, travelers. PA Nightmares here. I've noticed that over 30% of my viewers are not subscribed to the channel. So, if you're a new or a returning viewer and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button. And if you like what I do, liking the video and commenting as well, as it really helps push this video into the algorithm and it really does help the channel grow. Well, I've taken enough of your time. On to the main event. We were frozen in our place for a long time while Liam just stared at us. He seemed hazy. He didn't look solid, more like some kind of shimmering apparition. We were too scared to move a muscle. The candlelight danced and flickered, illuminating the thing, using Liam's face to mock us. He hunched over and blew the candle out. When the flame died, he was completely swallowed by darkness, like he just vanished. The door slowly closed as we watched in complete awe. There was a thick atmosphere of terror and confusion amongst the group. After the door closed, we stood exactly as we were. It was another long time before anyone felt brave enough even to breathe, let alone move. "Still think we're lying?" I said, shaking my head almost directly at Sean.
So what? Your friend Liam's in there? Why don't you go and get him then?
Sean snapped back.
You guys obviously had this all planned, or something.
Sean, trust me, that's not Liam. This is how it all started before.
Brian said, moving towards the door. "We should just leave, I think," Ash suggested.
No, fuck that. This is all bullshit. It's all just stupid stories. They've told him to sit there to try and scare us.
Sean blurted out, seemingly in some sort of rage. "Sean, listen to yourself. You're saying our friend, who has been missing for 5 years, just popped up so we could play a prank on you. Are you out of your bloody mind?" I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
Whatever. I'm not leaving. You're all full of shit.
He exclaimed before heading back to the door.
I'll go into that room and prove that it's him, and that he's been hiding there.
You're insane, man. You're literally insane.
Brian said.
Come on, whoever's leaving with me, let's go.
Myself, Brian, and Ash began walking to the stairs. Dennis hung around, looking at Sean. "Come on, Sean, let's go, man," Dennis said with his hand on Sean's back.
You can go if you want, mate. I'm gonna look around a bit more.
Sean began walking over to the room where we saw Liam. Dennis shook his head and turned to us as we waited. I can't leave him here by himself." He looked genuinely worried. We turned and continued down the stairs. I could see Sean trying to barge the door open before he was eventually out of sight. Ash and Brian were muttering to each other. I couldn't hear what they were saying as I was listening for anything unusual coming up the stairs. As we got to the ladder, Ash was having second thoughts about leaving anyone behind. Whatever Brian had been telling him had obviously shaken him up. "We should probably get them," he said. Brian looked at me, and then Ash.
Look, man, me and Danny have been through a lot here. We came to see if we can get Liam back, and I feel like it's pretty obvious that isn't happening. I'm not going back. If you want to go, then go. I'm going home. I'm sorry, man.
I looked at Brian. I was honestly torn. We had already left someone behind, and I wasn't sure I was ready to carry that guilt for anyone else. "Danny." Ash looked to me for someone to go with him. I don't know, Ash. There's 2 of them there. He isn't alone, but I really think if we're going back, we should all stick together." I shrugged, I was struggling to make any kind of decision. It was already a bad thing that we had left someone out of our sight. I already felt like if we did go back, I wouldn't be able to trust either of them. We were startled by a crashing sound from above, a horrible hissing and intermittent screams for help. We could hear a scuffle and things being thrown around. We all looked at each other, terrified.
We need to just get out of here. There's nothing we can do.
Brian said, ready to get down onto the ladder. Ash began running up the stairs. Ash, wait! I called to him. Brian, we can't let him go up alone. Brian looked down to potential safety, then back up to Ash, who was mindlessly running into potential danger.
Fuck's sake, Danny.
He said as he climbed back to his feet. We ran to meet Ash at the top of the stairway. He had stopped dead in his tracks. Dennis was on the landing, stumbling towards us, muttering to himself. He was covered in dirt and didn't even seem to notice we were there. Dennis, Ash said. He looked up and saw Ash right in front of him. Don't, Dennis mumbled as he continued staggering towards the stairs. Dennis, wait there, Ash called to him again. He was approaching me and Brian. I looked into his eyes. His face was bruised and beaten. His eyes seemed normal. Now that it convinced me this was really Dennis, I cautiously put my hand out and steadied him. Dennis, it's us, I said to him reassuringly. He started crying like a 5-year-old who just fell off his bike.
Dennis, what happened? Where's Sean?
Dennis sobbed and fell to the floor. He got him. He got him. He fell inside the doorway and it closed. All I could hear was him screaming. Then something grabbed me and started smashing me into the wall. The next thing I remember was Ash saying my name. I don't even know how I got down here. I was dubious about the whole situation. I looked at Dennis with skepticism. Ash was already over picking him up, but I wasn't ready to believe anything he said right away. I could tell Brian was the same. Screaming and shouting from above filled the entire area. We heard banging and Sean shouting for Dennis to come back. Ash looked at me, horrified. We need to go. No fucking around. We need to go and just try and get him. I pulled a knife out of the bag and gave the other one to Brian. Ash, just help Dennis to walk if he needs. Me and Brian will go first. I'll be okay. Let's just go and get him, Dennis said. I narrowed my eyes at Dennis. His eagerness to go back upstairs did not set well with me. Brian and I turned to head for the stairs. I whispered to Brian, if he makes any strange moves, I'm stabbing him in the neck and running for my life. I'm not joking, man. I don't trust this. Brian just nodded in agreement as we began to ascend. When we reached the landing, the screaming stopped, but the door to the room Sean was in was opening and slamming shut constantly. Dennis and Ash were only a few steps behind. I pulled out the torch and switched it on. It shone over to the rapidly slamming door. Every time it opened, I could see a crooked, opaque face low down, staring back at us, gaunt, with deep black eyes. After a few seconds of the torchlight on the door, it shut and stayed shut. What do we do? Ash asked. I don't know, Ash. I don't necessarily want to go over there, but that's where Dennis said Sean is, so I'm assuming that's where we need to go. I snapped back, feeling pretty pissed off that we had come back because Sean wanted to act like a big, hard man. The four of us crept onto the landing. I had the bigger of the two knives held out in one hand in front of me, and my torch in the other. I went first. The others quietly kept close. The door opened a crack when I got within 2 feet of it. They're coming, I heard a whisper say in a crackled voice. Who they were wasn't abundantly clear. Did it mean us? As in we're coming to the room? Or was it a warning that something else would be coming for us? I directed my torch into the small opening. Black polished fingers slid back inside the darkness. I closed my eyes. I raised my boot and kicked the door open with such force, anything behind it was getting a large dose of wood to the face. The door swung open with such ease, in contrast to how impossible it seemed to open earlier, or even the last time we were here. I swung and stabbed the knife indiscriminately in and around the opening. Nobody else made a sound. When I opened my eyes, my torch lit the room, and we found nobody inside. Brian gave a light shove to my shoulder, urging me to keep going. We carefully entered the room. I had never seen behind this door, so everything was as new to me as it was to Ash and Dennis. There are barred windows and broken wooden beds with shackles cemented into the walls and floor near each one. The floor felt almost sticky. Some kind of tar-like substance had been intentionally spilled all around, making weird shapes on the ground. A stone circle fire pit sat in the center, and there were crude drawings and symbols lining the walls. The smell was unbearable. I choked. I had to leave. The others were not far behind. "What was that smell?" Ash asked, coughing as he spoke. "No idea, man. Let's just not go in there again," I said, catching my breath. Dennis seemed okay, which drew a little more suspicion on him, from me and Brian at least. I could see Brian glancing at him every now and then. I was reluctant to take my eyes off him myself. We looked up the stairs. It led to the 4th floor. I didn't want to go any higher, but it looked like we had to. If anything, I didn't want to reach those bells again. Dennis and Ash had already started climbing the stairs. I looked at my knife. I looked at Brian. We both followed, keeping a few steps behind. I almost fell down the stairs when the door to the room we were just in slammed shut. Ash whimpered, I don't like this. I want to get out of here." "We all do, Ash. Just make sure we stick together, and we'll make it," I said to him, trying to calm him down. We approached the 4th floor landing. To the right, I saw the door to our base room. It was slightly ajar. "Brian, that's the safe room we were in last time. We should go in there." I flashed a torch over to the door.
I forgot about that,
He said.
"Everybody, head in there."
Brian commanded, pushing past Ash and Dennis. Entering the room again, it felt exactly as it did before. Safe, comforting. I don't know why, but this room seemed completely detached from the rest of the building. The old cabinets and broken ancient furniture still sat where we left them. I made my way to the window and looked out. This time, it wasn't sadness I felt looking outside. It was determination. I was determined to get us all out of here alive. As I looked out, the wind was brushing the trees. I could almost smell the fresh air. As I gazed up to the moon and to the stars above, I began to wonder, why the fuck were the moon and stars out? It couldn't have been later than 2 or 3 p.m. Guys? I started, glaring with confusion at the darkened forest surrounding us. Nobody noticed. They were all looking around and chatting amongst themselves. "Guys!" I called again. I turned to see everyone stop what they were doing and look over to me. Not one of them seemed shocked. "Doesn't anyone see anything wrong here?" I asked, bewildered by the fact that still, none of them had any idea what I was talking about. "Look!" I pointed to the window. They all looked at me like I was insane. "Oh, God." I put my hand on my face. "Brian, what time is it?" He twigged straight away. I saw the second his mind put it together. His jaw dropped.
"What the fuck? How long have we been in here for?"
Ash and Dennis looked equally shocked as they realized. "I don't know, 2 hours max, I'd say," Ash said. The wind outside began to howl. I looked out again, absolutely dumbfounded at what I was looking at. Bumps and scraping noises accompanied the howling wind. The window seemed to rattle in its frame. Something stirred inside the room. One of the smaller cabinets started to shake, getting progressively more violent. We all took a few steps back and huddled together. Then it stopped. The soft click of a latch broke the silence, and the cabinet door creaked open. Liam's head poked out of the partially opened door. "Come and look at this," he said, as his face disappeared back inside. We stood silent. Just head to the door," I said to everyone. We inched to the side, never taking our eyes off the cabinet in front of us. Another click of a door opening behind us. We all turned in unison. A cupboard door had opened only about an inch. A hand began to emerge, sliding along the other door that was still closed. Long, pointed fingers tapped and scraped the old wood as they danced along the cabinet. The arm began to stretch out, quickly getting longer and longer as it made its way to the door to the landing. We kept moving, taking small but quick steps. We made it to the door first. The cupboard door burst open as we began to exit the room. The tall black figure was crouching inside. It looked right up at us, directly into my eyes. Its gaze burned. The creature let out a scream and in an instant darted towards us. We all hurried out and pulled the door shut. Loud banging came from the other side as the door rattled and cracked. We held it shut with everything we had. "We need to go somewhere. We need to run. Just run down the stairs," I cried out. On the count of 3, we let go and run for the stairs to head down. As we got to the stairway, we could see at the bottom, slowly crawling up each step, was the same contorted, jagged black figure, smiling and laughing at us, as its hands and feet appeared to scorch and crumble the stone beneath it. We were once again frozen in fear as the beast slowly got closer. We only had one other way to run: up. Tonight's story was part 3 of season 2 of the Scotland Bell Witch series, written by Reggaejunkiegee, featuring Vidith22 and As the Raven Dreams. If you enjoyed what you heard, the links to Reggaejunkiegee stories will be in the description below, as well as the links to Vidith22 and As the Raven Dreams channels. Please check all of them out and let them know Pia sent you. But hey, did you know I have merch? Well, I do. And if you'd like to walk around representing my realm and gaining new travelers, the link to my merch store, as well as all my other social medias, will be in the description below. As always, I'd like to say a special thank you to all my lovely Patreons. 242 Reads, Rando Calrissian, Seraphine the Midnight Bard, Creepy Clown Girl, Mia Mina, Hair Raising Narratives, Spooky Booze, Scary Story Time, Lycan Trucker, and Pimp Demon. If you'd like to join these lovely travelers but light my fire, you can do so too if you become a Patreon. Just remember, the support is always appreciated, but it is never expected. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and ding that bell if you're new for all future content, as it really helps push this video into the algorithm and helps the channel grow. But as always, once you step into my realm, there's no stepping out.